Hey guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm doing my May wrap-up. So I know I just did my April wrap-up, like that was literally my last video, but May was a really busy month for me. I didn't really get any chance to film because it was the end of the semester. So I had finals, and also I got really sick at the end of the month, and I'm not sure if I probably sound sick right now. I'm just trying to get over it. But yeah, I'm finally getting a chance to film, and hopefully June I'll post more videos because I have way more time because it's finally summer. So in the month of May, I read a total of 5 books, which is pretty average in terms of how much I read per month. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So the first book that I read in the month of May was Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. Sharp Objects follows this woman named Camille who is fresh out of a psych hospital, and she goes back to her hometown to solve this murder case of these 2 little girls that were murdered in her hometown, and while she rebuilds the connection with her hypochondriac mother and her half-sister. So yeah, it's basically a thriller murder mystery, basically Gillian Flynn's typical work. So Sharp Objects I gave about 2.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't enjoy it as much as I really wanted to, but I've heard this is her debut novel, so that could explain why this is weaker than some of the reviews I've heard for other books like Gone Girl. One thing I really didn't like about this book was that the first half of this book was so uneventful. Nothing really happened. All Camille was really doing was talking with people around in her town, trying to get an idea of the murder case, but the writing was really slow. It was very straightforward and direct, but I didn't really love that writing style, and it was really boring, especially when nothing was really happening in the first half of the book. This book is only 250 pages, and it felt so much longer because it was just so boring, and I found myself not wanting to pick it up and continue reading it. Like, this book took me about a week to finish, which it really shouldn't, because it's only it's like less 300 pages. But yeah, I just really didn't like it, and it was just very slow. And in the end, I liked the twist at the end, and I really liked how the ending was a bit rushed compared to the rest of the book, but like other than that, I really didn't like it, and it was just very slow. I'm really excited to read Gone Girl though, because I've heard much better reviews for that, and Dark Places, because I've heard those books are both better than Sharp Objects. So yeah, that's not gonna deter me from reading her future books. I'm still really excited for Gone Girl and Dark Places. The next book that I read in the month of May was actually that I got from the library but has since been returned, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I'm pretty sure in April, and I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. And Daisy Jones and the Six, I loved it so much as well. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Daisy Jones and the Six follows this girl named Daisy, who is this up-and-coming, basically singer-songwriter, and she wants to basically make it into singing in the music world. And so she basically joins this band called The Six, and it's basically the rise and fall of the band and what led to their breakup at the end of the 70s. This book is told in an interview style, which some may not like, but I personally really enjoyed. It was not choppy as much as I thought it would be, and it actually flowed very well. It gave every person's perspective on a situation, an incident, and every scene. So that's what I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the characters. I loved Daisy. She was so strong and fierce, and Billy, who was a lovable character. And of course, like, the rest of the cast, or the rest of the band member, was not as much of the focus, because the main characters were Billy, the main main person of the Six, and Daisy Jones. This book was very unexpected because it is told in the interview format, so I was a bit hesitant at first, but I really loved it, and I'm really excited to read Taylor Jenkins Reid books in the future because I'm sure I'm gonna love them. The third book that I read in the month of May was a book that I actually read for school, and I started in April but I finished it in May, and that is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Glass Castle follows this girl named Jeanette, and it's a true story. It's a memoir, and it follows Jeanette and her family and her parents, and they're basically a poor family. They're always moving around, and it's basically their story, and it follows Jeanette throughout her childhood and how she basically escaped this family. We also watched the movie, which I think is a really good adaptation, because it stuck to the story, and it was really true to a lot of the book's parts, which I really enjoyed. But overall, I think for the book, I think my reading experience would have been elevated if it was not for school, because for school we have like assignments for it, and just that whole thing for school that you have to do with when you read books. I think that's what kind of lowered the reading experience for me, but I think if I had read it on my own without like any of the assignments or anything, I think I would have really enjoyed it more. I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but like the amount of the assignments, I didn't like that aspect of it. So yeah, of course, I think my reading experience would have been better without them. But yeah, overall, I can't really talk much about it. It talks, her family's poor, so it talks a lot about homelessness and poverty in America, and basically the family's living situation. So yeah, I can't really talk much about it. I really enjoyed it, but I think it would have been a better experience if it wasn't for like all the school assignments. The next book that I read in the month of May was Legendary by Stephanie Garber. Legendary is the sequel to Caraval, which is the first in a trilogy, I believe, and it follows, this book is set after Caraval has ended, and basically she has to find Legend's true name and give it to a criminal. So she goes into the Caraval game again, and it basically just follows Tella's story. I actually enjoyed this much more than Caraval. Like, I remember I enjoyed Caraval, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, Caraval was a kind of a polarizing read because there was a lot of people that liked it, a lot of people that really didn't like it, and I was one of the people that ended up liking it just because I thought it was just a fun story filled with magic, and it wasn't something that I had to think too much about. It was something that I could easily follow, so I think that's what I was basing my rating on. It was also higher stakes, and this book was not told in Tella's or Scarlett's perspective. Scarlett is Tella's sister, but it's told in Tella's perspective, and I also really enjoyed it. I'm really glad because I really did not like Scarlett in this book. She was kind of annoying and whiny, and she didn't do much, and so yeah, I really enjoyed Tella's perspective, and I'm really excited to read Finale, which is the third and final book in this trilogy. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. There was a lot higher stakes, it was a lot more interesting and a lot more fun than Caraval, so yeah, that's what I'm basing my rating on. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And the fifth and final book that I read in the month of May is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore follows a man named Clay Janin who has recently been laid off from being a web designer because of the Great Recession in San Francisco, and he goes to find another job when he finds this bookstore. So he gets the job, and while he's working there, he finds out that no one really is checking out or buying any books. Instead, they're checking them out, and he basically discovers this whole underground cult type group, and he tries to learn more about it. I give this book 3 out of 5 stars, and the beginning was so boring. Like, I didn't love Robin Sloan's writing style. I thought it was very dry. So yeah, the first half of this book was so boring. Like, I had to like keep going. I knew it would get more interesting, but yeah, the first half was just really boring. The book did not get interesting until about the second half, because that's when Clay and his friends were learning more about the group and finding more discoveries. But my only one thing I really didn't like was that the ending was kind of rushed and kind of far-fetched even for this book. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, this book is already kind of like magical and unlikely, but like the ending already felt so unlikely. It felt like there were so many conclusions that were drawn so fast. Like, there was one moment when Clay didn't really know, and then in the end, like a couple pages later, he like figured everything out, and it felt really rushed. It was within a really short span of pages, and it felt like a really abrupt ending. But yeah, and that was my only that's one of my only critiques with this book, other than the writing, is that the ending was very abrupt, and it just, some of the things did not make sense, and it was kind of far-fetched even for this book. So yeah, that is it for my May wrap-up. Let me know down below what was your favorite book that you read in the month of May. I'm going to be hopefully putting more videos up on this channel this summer because I have a lot more time. But yeah, that is for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!